We light a candle for faith this day, God who we can trust. For those with great faith, as well as those with little. For folk whose faith walks with them and those looking to see where their faith is gone. For all who wrestle with God and those who limp through life. And then here's a canticle for faith. We lie awake, turning our worries over and over in our minds, twisting our fears like bed covers in the night, forgetting that if we just hand them over to you, watching God, you would take them away and recycle them into hope. We walk aimlessly through each day, wondering if we can find someone, anyone, to trust in this life, ignoring all the signs pointing to the simple path to where we will find you at the corner of faith and trust. I envy those who appear to have such an easy faith, such a solid faith that seem to never be worried or challenged or bothered by the sorts of questions and concerns that I and other people have. Sometimes it's hard for many people to have faith, to be able to trust God, that when things fall apart, when things go wrong, many of us seem not to have that solid faith that so many people exhibit in their lives, or at least in their words and in their attitudes. I think that's why I like the 11th chapter of Hebrews so much, that great chapter that talks about faith. It does sound so easy, the way the chapter says, that by faith so-and-so did this, by faith they are able to do that. But then as we look at their names and we remember the stories or go back and read them, we discover how hard faith was for most of those people. Perhaps it's only in hindsight that we can discover what faith is all about, whether or not we have faith. Yes, by faith, Abraham and Sarah are able to do the things they did, but Sarah laughs at God's promises. Abraham passes off his wife as his sister several times. By faith, so-and-so did this. And we read their story and realize what a struggle it was for them, that they did have feet of clay, that they were willing to turn their back on God. They were willing to trust more in the promises of the world rather than in the promises of God. I don't find faith an easy thing. I find it a struggle. I find it a pebble in my shoe at times, a thorn in my side, as Paul said, that kind of constant irritant that makes me more aware of the challenges I have to discover the ability to trust in God, even when I'm afraid to discover the willingness to have faith that in the midst of fears and doubts and worries, that something's going on, that God's doing something that I may not realize until days or weeks or months or even years later. I often tell people the story that when I was 14, I heard clear as a bell at church camp one summer, God calling me to become a minister, 14 years old. And I spent the next 25 years running away from that call until I just finally gave in. Maybe it was out of faith. But what I discovered is that God probably intended that all the way along, because to be honest, if I had graduated from college at 22 and gone to seminary and become a minister at 25, I would have been a complete disaster. because it was those experiences, those challenges, those struggles, those wrestlings with God and the questions of faith that it did in all those years leading up to when I finally did go to seminary and did become a minister, that made me see ministry and faith and life in a different way. I don't find faith to be an easy thing. I don't find faith to be a comfortable thing. But I think without faith, my life would be completely different. And even when I don't have faith, God continues to have faith in me and in you. Let us pray. For some, faith seems to be as simple as getting up in the morning, God of our lives. Just another part of the daily routine they go through as they start out into their day. Give me such faith, I pray. For some, faith seems to be that companion, that best friend who is always with them. Jesus of these days, a listening ear to troubles, a whisper of hope when needed, a gentle reminder to be better. Give me such faith, I pray. For some, faith is that heirloom passed down to them, an inheritance which required nothing, no effort on their part. Spirit of these moments, a watch they can slip on, a ring always worn on that finger, a wedding gift stored in the cabinet. Give me such faith, I pray. I long for such faith. I yearn for such faith. I hunger for such faith. God in community, holy in one. So give me such faith, I pray. Amen. And now may the peace of the rolling waves, the peace of the silent mountains, the peace of the singing stars, and the deep, deep peace of the Prince of Peace be with you now and forevermore. Amen.